All right, welcome everybody to the final Kusama Derby presentation and crowdcast. My name is James, and I am with the communications team here at Zeitgeist. It's great to have you guys all alongside with us. What a ride it's been. This has been such an exciting campaign, our first prediction market, and it's really been successful. So with me is the founding team of Zeitgeist. I have Logan Sather, who is the CEO. I have Chris Hutchinson, who is the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and our CIO is David Perry. Welcome to you all. I'm going to ask you each just to give a short overview of how you feel about the first prediction market that is run on the Zeitgeist protocol, starting with yourself, David.
Well, I couldn't be more delighted. I mean, just the number of people, the level of activity through the campaign, the interest in the network, and the results, clearly, which we're going to talk about. So just happy across the board. Really thankful for everybody that was engaged with us.
And Hutch, from your side as community building extraordinaire, you've built communities at Polkadot and at the Web3 Foundation, and this has been a real campaign to build community around prediction markets. How has it done for your expectations?
I think it's gone exceedingly well. Was really excited to see, first of all, the amount of engagement that we got. There were just tons of people asking great questions and actually interacting with the protocol and the testnet. And then even beyond that, what was really amazing to me is that the prediction markets that ran actually reflected very closely the truth of the actual Parachain auctions which have happened. So that's that, along with the engagement, the amount of people that we had that joined in and kind of like just really got involved in the community, has been really exciting for me.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, you and I work closely together, and seeing the engagement on crypto Twitter especially has been remarkable. And then before we get into your presentation, Logan, just a short intro from yourself as CEO, the man who is always working with every single team member. I'm always coming in and asking you questions, and I always feel bad about doing that because I know you've got to handle every other person in every other department. But how's it been for you? It must have been really busy.
Yeah, it was busy, but I think overall I'm super happy with the results and how the campaign went overall. So we had more success than we expected to, a lot more engagement than we initially thought we would, which is, of course, a great thing, an excellent thing to have. And yeah, just super excited to now share the results with the community. And then one point is that one of the main goals, I think, of the Derby was to have like a distribution event of the token to seed the community. So I'm super happy that we had such a wide distribution, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
Awesome. Yeah, this is it's a real pivotal moment for Zeitgeist. So this is real moments that you're going to look back on, everyone, to the first prediction market on Zeitgeist. All right, so guys, just before we get into the presentation, I just want to encourage you all to ask a question you may have. If you see something that comes up in Logan's presentation, then feel free to ask a question. And then I'd like to ask everyone else to pop into that little tab at the bottom of your screen. It's just off center at the bottom. It says ask a question. And if you like a question, just hit the upvote. If you upvote that question, it'll get to the top and move higher up the ranks, and we will ask the best questions in that box. So that's the place to ask questions. The chat box is the place to go wild in whatever trolling you want to go on about. You know how it is, our good old troll box in crypto Twitter. But in terms of official questions, we'd really like if you could just hit it down there at the bottom, the Ask a Question tab. All right, without further ado, everyone, let's get straight into it. Logan, it's over to you. Take us through the Kusama Derby results.
Cool, thanks a lot, James. All right, so yeah, before we jump straight into the results, there's going to give you guys a couple intro slides. So we can't know if this is not anyone's first Crowdcast with Zeitgeist. So if anyone's new here, we would like to welcome you and just give you a short rundown of what Zeitgeist is. So Zeitgeist is an evolving blockchain for prediction markets and futarchy. Futarchy being the use of prediction markets in a governance context. So Zeitgeist will govern itself using an on-chain futarchy. So we're building on Substrate. We're planning to deploy to Kusama, and our roadmap extends, or the roadmap to launch extends until the end of the year, when we plan to hold a PLO to attain a Kusama Parachain slot. So today we're announcing the results of the Kusama Derby, which I'm sure many of you already know if you're here, but just in case you don't. So the Kusama Derby was our first campaign. It was on our testnet. Future ones will likely be on our mainnet instead, once that's launched. But what it was 3 separate prediction markets predicting the result of the Parachain slot auction that was happening on Kusama. So we had 3 different tiers of the campaign. We had a Gleam, kind of more social part of the campaign where you shared on social media. We had a node operator section of the campaign, and then we had the testnet participation section. So we allocated 100,000 ZTG, which is 0.1% of our Genesis supply, to this campaign. And the campaign in total took just shy of about 2 months, I think about a month and a half in total. And yeah, so we're super happy with how it went. So we'll jump into some stats about kind of crunch some numbers around the engagement of the campaign. So I'll pass the mic over to Hutch to talk about the Gleam section.
Awesome. Thank you, Logan. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining in today. I'm going to be going through a little bit of the statistics from the campaign itself and just some of the high level statistics, and then some more nitty gritty insights about some of the things going on. So yeah, for the Gleam sign up, which was kind of the way that everybody jumped in and participated in the campaign, there were over 48, or there were exactly 4,850 users in total that took part. Nearly 23,000 impressions that we got. These are impressions on Gleam. These are different things that people kind of interacted with in Gleam. And then over 65,000 actions overall were taken. So these were different things like following us on Twitter or signing up for the actual Derby itself and coming into the Derby. All right, so up next, so the Gleam rewards overall that we'll be allocating. So we're going to have 4,845 separate accounts rewarded with the ZTG token for the Gleam campaign. The rewards range from 0.31 ZTG all the way up to 95 ZTG. More than 4,200 accounts got at least 1 ZTG. And then half of the participants got 4 ZTG tokens or more. And the top 2% got at least 25 ZTG each. So these are really exciting kind of results for like a very wide distribution of ZTG tokens out to the community that got to participate in the Gleam campaign.
Yeah,
all right,
and I'll
next
just
up.
jump in
Yep.
for just half a minute here. So so we at the bottom here we have a link to the spreadsheet of everyone's reward. So it's sorted by your substrate address that you signed up with. So after this Crowdcast, we'll post all of these spreadsheets so you can look up exactly how many ZTG you'll get at Genesis. And this is just the Gleam section of the reward so far.
Cool. Yeah, and just a reminder to everyone, there were 3 separate ways to actually earn ZTG during this campaign. So next one, we're going to be going into the node stats. So the nodes was the second way. to earn ZTG during the campaign, setting up a node, a Zeitgeist node. So we quickly hit the maximum amount of nodes that were actually available on the public telemetry server. So there's only 500 allowed on the server that's online hosted by Parity. So we quickly hit that number and we spun up a second endpoint, and we got nearly 1,000 nodes on the network at once. So this was pretty phenomenal for us. We thought this was like a very, very great amount of engagement, that everybody was spinning up their own nodes. And this shows like a lot of potential for success in us establishing the collator program for Zeitgeist and just continuing to run the network. But Logan, you got anything else to say on that point, or David, same?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people are waiting for the collator program. So now that we're wrapping up the Derby, we'll be sending out the first wave of invites to that fairly soon. So if you're planning to be in the collator program, you not only need to fill out the application, but you should also keep running your node. And we, of course, encourage everyone to keep running your node. We're no longer tracking it for the rewards, but it's still helping us keep a healthy network. So keep your node up.
And thanks everybody for running. Everybody who's been participating and running nodes. I mean, it's just a really great way for participating in our network. All right, so next up. So the node rewards overall. So 604 total node operators have been rewarded with ZTG. Rewards are going to range from 4 to 29. More than 570 node operators got at least 12 ZTG, and then half of nodes got 20 ZTG or more. And the top 14% got 29 ZTG each. So this is pretty awesome. The node operators really kind of hit it away. If you were running a node, it was a great way to participate in the Kusama Derby, and the stats show that. And then, like Logan said, we've got this spreadsheet that we'll be sharing the links on social and in our Discord, etc. after the presentation. So next up, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Faucet Stats. So this was really interesting. We had spun up an original faucet, and then we moved the faucet to a paid Discord server. And in total, there were over 4,400 drips from the faucet. So 4,400 individual drips from the faucet. That's pretty amazing stat. 1,146 people verified with the faucet role in Discord. So this was once we had to. The first day we had to do a little bit of spam prevention mitigation. People were attacking our Discord server. So this were actually 1,100 new people came in and paid the $2 fee that we raised for the India COVID relief program. So this is a super exciting stat for us. We moved really quickly to kind of prevent the civil attack that was happening during the campaign, and it was very successful, and we got to donate some money by doing it. So everyone won. And then this stat was probably one of my favorite and one of the most interesting, is that 200 individual KSM holders claimed tokens used the claim function on the faucet with claims totaling 53,334 KSM. So that's over $10 million at current market prices today in claims that people made on the Zeitgeist prediction market to participate in the Kusama Derby. So this to me was just a really amazing fact, and it's something that kind of everybody should be excited about, I think. All right, next slide. So the points and rewards. So the testnet participation is rated on a point system. More points mean that you get higher ZTG rewards. So there's different ways that we weighted the point scale. So I'll kind of just read through these different ways, and you'll be able to see better on the spreadsheet, like the allocation that you got. But yeah, so the first point, getting a token from the faucet was 0.1 points each time you did that. Making a trade on any of the markets was 1 point each. Predicting the winner and redeeming was 5 points each for each market. So this was the most points were gotten by the people who participated the most correctly, essentially. And then the ending ZBP balance gives 0.01 points per ZBP that you had, with a maximum of 10 points. So all these different ways that this is the way that we kind of weighted the system to make it fair and to make kind of weight the participation that different people were doing. So we wanted people to come into the market. We wanted people to actually actively make trades and make correct predictions as well. So that's how we kind of weighted these different points. So next slide. So yeah, this is all about the testnet rewards. So Leet, we got 1337 in separate accounts that were rewarded with ZTG, which is an appropriate number. The rewards range from less than 1 all the way up to 558 ZTG. 1,000 accounts got at least 1 ZTG, so that's pretty exciting. 500 accounts got at least 25 ZTG, and then the top 200 accounts got 83 ZTG or more. So yeah, this is all super exciting. These 3 categories, like if you participated at all in the Kusama Derby, you know, is pretty exciting, and you probably got something if you participated. So that's an awesome thing to see. So I think next, is there one more slide or how many more slides? Yeah, so we're going to be going over the Gleam winner, and I'm going to be passing the microphone over to David, who's going to be announcing the 2 grand prize winners, which is really exciting.
Yeah, so first up, we have the Gleam winner, and if we could go to that slide, it's Raju MV. Congratulations, job well done, and along with that, it's 5,000 ZTG, and then of course the unique NFT. And so Raju MV, I hope you're on. If you're not, I hope when you see this later, really great job. And you know, thanks for participating. It's awesome. And if we want to go, unless we want to have a very pregnant pause, if we want to go to the grand prize winner of the Kusama Derby on the Zeitgeist Network.
I want to get a drum roll.
It is OJ for me. Ojo for me. I hope I pronounced that right. Ojo. Very well done. Thank you so much for your participation. Obviously, you killed it. And you know, for you, it's 10,000 ZTG, and then the awesome NFT. You know, just really great job. Hope you know, we'd love to hear from the winners as well as everyone else.
I see Ojo. Ojo's
in the chat.
Are they in here? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
that's awesome. Well done, Ojo.
High five to you. It's so great to that you're here, and thanks for participating. But I was going to say, just last thing is, you know, we'd love to hear feedback and the questions, and we're going to have questions on this as well as just pinging us on socials, just what people's impressions are. We're just can't be more thrilled about, you know, the platform and the folks that participated in it in the Derby. So thank you all again.
Look at that beautiful NFT. Look at that amazing Pegasus. Yeah, so that's the Kusama canary bird with wings, right?
Yeah.
So it's a Pegasus with a canary head. There's two variants. There's like the still one and then the moving one. So we'll probably mint the moving one, and it also comes with a voxel sculpture as well. So we'll be in contact with you about that.
Yeah, super cool.
Be able to display your NFT in the metaverse.
Yeah,
sooner than later.
So the next question that everyone probably has is when allocation. When are you getting the ZTG tokens? So like we've said at the beginning, the ZTG token isn't around until Zeitgeist mainnet is around. So it won't be until we launch until you get your ZTG allocation. So right now we have all of the allocations in spreadsheets. So these public spreadsheets. We also have backups of it, so that's not the only copy, but you can look up your allocation there for now. We'll set up a website fairly soon to make this easier. You can just type your address into a website. But yeah, we'll share the spreadsheets in our Discord right after this call. And that's those are the results. So a big thank you to the community. And I think now we're going to move into Q&A panel discussion.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Logan, and thanks so much, guys. And just another big congratulations to everyone for winning those prizes and for all your participation. Just incredible, incredible stuff. I'm going to let's have a bit of a panel here, and I want to ask a couple of questions myself before we get into the questions from the audience, which of course, guys, you can go and ask in that Ask a Question tab. Go and ask your question, upvote other questions. It would be great to have your contributions. I'm going to just ask, I'm going to start with David. Regarding what you saw with this prediction market, how does it fare to real world applications of prediction markets that you've seen in corporate environments like your experience in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I was, I had high hopes, but, I was, my expectations were exceeded because the market, anyone that got into the Derby early on, so that the markets were, quite efficient. And so when trading started, the prices really started to reflect what the ultimate outcomes, are. And there were some variation as news changed, but, I was happy to see that not only did we get a lot of people in there, as far as the number of participants and the system, perform well, but that the prices reflected the ultimate outcome. This is always a great thing to see. We were, it would have been okay to, for me at least, to, if we were less accurate, just because we were all, exercising a lot of other parts of the system, but the fact that the results were as accurate as they were is very encouraging, both for the system as well as, we've got a lot of great participants. So very much in line with accurate prediction markets that we've seen in the corporate space.
And what about the rest of you two gentlemen in terms of the prediction market aspect of this campaign? Were you guys happy with how things performed? We can start with you, Logan. Were you happy with how the app performed?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely happy with how the tech works and how the app performed. Prediction markets are kind of a social thing as well. So it depends a lot on how the trade activity is and how the market conditions are. And I think at first we kind of saw that the initial traders were a bit more naive. But as the markets stuck around for a little while, we saw more sophistication develop. People learn how to do arbitrage in the markets, and then bring it closer into line to what the end prediction was. So yeah, super happy with how things evolved in that way too.
Hutch, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, so I thought that one really interesting point was kind of how quickly that we kind of went viral after the launch of the Derby itself. So much so that the following day we had like a click farm attack come up on the Derby. But overall, I was just really excited to see how people had continued engagement with the Derby and how much that it seems like it dovetailed into the actual Parachain auctions itself, and all the way up to now. So yeah, I was really excited about it.
So next question from me before I get into the audience, gentlemen, is what is your expectation for the first prediction market by an external entity? So not one that is built by our team internally, but one that is built using our protocol by an external entity. What do you think that prediction market will be? Will it be a sport prediction market? Would it be related to a business environment? What are your expectations? Let's start with Logan, and then I'll come down to David. I say down because on my screen I have David and myself are at the bottom, and Hutch and Logan are at the top.
Yeah, so external prediction markets. So I think one of the things we're working toward now, now that we're done with the Derby, is the main application, where we'll allow anyone to create markets on our application and display them on our application. So once we have that, I think what we'll start to see is like a lot of the like more usual stuff. Like people want to kind of predict prices of different assets in the future. But what's probably more interesting is when people start to build like these external prediction markets. So not just using our app, which they can do, but once they start to use our SDK to build a completely separate kind of product. I could be a lot of things. I'm kind of expecting something like in like esports to be fairly early. But yeah, it could also be a number of other things like politics and others.
I agree with Logan. I think sports politics are up there. I think also crypto native events. So metrics around the launch of networks, security vulnerabilities, other events, that pertain to crypto projects. Mainly because I think a lot of the development folks that are familiar with Zeitgeist now, they're kind of early on in their awareness of Zeitgeist. We're certainly working on some non crypto applications that we won't announce today. But I think early on, besides sports and politics, kind of crypto native events will be right in there in the first applications.
And Hutch, from your side, you told me about a call that you guys had with Robin Hanson, of course, a man who's been extremely influential in the prediction market space. What is your sort of expectation here for what's going to be using our protocol and SDK the most?
Yeah, so I think my expectation is that with the community that we're building, the way that we're doing our marketing, that we'll see some pretty cool crypto native prediction markets that maybe that somebody has an idea about and can hopefully implement as well, especially around governance. I mean, that's what I want to see. Like, I think that Zeitgeist itself is going to be a really a boon, like a successful boon of influence on governance for the network itself. But I think that other prediction markets that can influence other networks' governance, utilizing the technology that Zeitgeist has, is also a really interesting application that could be among the first. And then in the same vein, like thinking about crypto native prediction markets, I also think there's some really there's some interesting things that can be done around NFT markets that haven't been done yet. So I hope to see some stuff like that happening as well.
What kind of stuff, when you talk about NFT markets, what kind of stuff are you envisioning?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole suite of different things that you could envision for prediction markets. It's not just like the market of like, will price be X or Y at a certain date or something, but more there's just other interesting applications. I don't have any on the top of my mind, but I think that we just really haven't seen it materialize, like different prediction markets around NFTs. So I think that some interesting things can come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Jens, are you allowed to share with our audience what the next step is? I guess this kind of dovetails with the most upvoted question from Rickson Lewis, who said, congratulations on the completion of successful Kusama Derby. What were the outcomes that you were trying to achieve? So we'll come back to that question, but he ends off his question with, can we expect similar events in the time to come? Which kind of is a dovetail of what I wanted to ask you all. are you allowed to share what the next stage is for Zeitgeist?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially around like marketing campaigns, we want to get to a point where we have a cadence of these similar to Kusama Derby campaigns, but with different themes and with different styles. We want these things to be running at least every quarter, if not even more. You know, hopefully it gets to a point where the community is actually running their own too, but we want to influence like themes that are bigger themes that will get people to come in and participate. So I'll give David and Logan a chance to talk on that too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're definitely going to be doing more and more info to come. And like Hutch just said, I'm looking forward to a day where the community, the events like the Kusama Derby is driven by the community, and that's what one of the reasons why we do these kinds of campaigns is to show what the platform can do. And of course, the Derby is not the platform. It's an app, a fairly small scale app that's running on the platform. But as we develop, as more of the platform is released, we'll be able to do more and show more, and that's going to prompt more apps, both that we announce as well as are driven by the community. We're open to ideas. We've got a list that we're developing right now. Things around misinformation, things around governance and management of treasuries, and a few other things. But would love ideas. This is something why the community is there, and we enjoy hearing from folks, as well as taking an idea and saying, hey, let's do it. So if you've got an idea about something that's interesting, please let us know.
Logan, anything you'd like to add to that?
I mean, that pretty much covers it. I think like we are planning more, where we've already started to kind of make the initial plans for the next campaign that we want to do. And we want to do more community involvement for sure. So if anyone wants to get involved, there should be a channel for them to reach out to us and get involved in some way.
So here's an interesting question, which is more of a practical question, but one that you may be able to answer, Logan, because I know your appreciation for NFTs. Kevin asks, what's the plan for the 55 Zeitgeist remark eggs?
Yeah, so we haven't published what the plan for those will be yet. We haven't forgotten about them, but we don't have the details on that yet. I mean, we've been brainstorming a lot of different things. Like we've been brainstorming like whether we want to make them like an access ticket to special markets, or like NFT specific markets. Whether we want to make it something closer to having a effect in like the protocol and like the way you're able to interact with specific markets. But we'll be publishing more details on that a little bit later on.
All right. This is a question from Anonymous, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I'm just filtering the best questions that we see here. And just a reminder, everyone, please go and vote for your favorite questions in that comment and question and answers box. But if you guys could shed some light on this for us, the ZTG token, does it work with Kusama and DOT like Kilt?
Yeah, like I'm not exactly sure what if there's
what
a
the
kind
question
of
is, yeah.
Yeah, if there's what's the intent of the question? But yes, like Zeitgeist will be a parachain on Kusama, so it'll be interoperable with all parachains on Kusama, and interoperable with Polkadot via the Kusama Polkadot bridge.
All right, so that kind of leads on to the next one I spotted here by a big community supporter of ours, especially on Twitter, Halasta. Halasta says, do you plan on only deploying to Kusama, or will there be a later deployment to Polkadot as well, I think is the next part of that question.
I'm glad to answer that. So yeah, we do plan on deploying to Kusama first, but kind of as Logan just talked about, there's the first bridge that will exist on Kusama will be a native relay chain bridge to Polkadot. That's kind of one of the first planned bridges. So we plan on kind of sharing the interoperability with Polkadot from the bridge. And if it becomes like later on down the road, we may have a separate deployment for Polkadot, but that's kind of TBD still.
All right. So deployment to Polkadot TBD, but primarily using the interoperability of the bridge between Kusama and Polkadot. Okay. I'm wondering if anyone can answer this. Perhaps David, if you had the data on this, how high was the best prediction to win the main competition?
I unfortunately don't have the data in front of me, so I can't speak to that. But that will be published, forthcoming. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Then Dolt777 says, which partnerships with teams working on Kusama or Polkadot, in other words, this extended ecosystem, which partnerships with those teams can we expect in the future? I don't know if you guys would like to share some of that, if you want to keep it as TBD, but which partnerships do you want more and which can give more advantages to Zeitgeist?
Yeah, we can't talk about anything definite that we haven't already announced. We can't talk about who we're kind of interested in working with as like in the immediate future as like next steps, which are Oracle providers. So oracles are a key piece of prediction markets, and Zeitgeist can be seen as kind of an entire Oracle system. But we also use external data feeds. We leave this layer pretty flexible in what it could be. So it can be like a centralized like data feed feeding it in. We could also use like a off-chain worker to get it to fetch some data. But we also want to partner with Oracle providers in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem to provide these kind of hardened, robust data feeds as well. That'll allow us to do nice things like have faster resolution and more secure resolution if we have a more secure Oracle.
All right. Well, gentlemen, that's pretty much the best questions coming through out of the Q&A there. I don't know if you spotted any others in there, Hutch, but if not, then gents, I'm going to ask you to give your final concluding comments. This is it for Kusama Derby. We closed the book of Kusama Derby and we put it in the history file of Zeitgeist already developing history. Final comments. Let's start with David and then move around to Logan and then Hutch, and we'll say goodbye from there.
Just two quick things for me. One, to thank you again to everybody that participated, everybody that's watching and engaged. It wouldn't be a success, obviously, without you all. And the other thing is how excited I am and the rest of the team are on what's coming. And there's certainly, if you've been watching us closely, you may know a little bit more about that. But we're looking forward to what's next, and so glad to have such a great community.
Yep. So I did see a question in there that I was asking about like the next couple months of roadmap. I mentioned this earlier, but essentially what we're focusing on now is the main application. So there's going to be a bit of a lull for the community since we're sunsetting the Derby and not planning another campaign for the immediate future. It'll be a bit longer out. But we are working on bringing something really awesome out to the community fairly soon.
Awesome. And Hutch, what about you? Final comments from you, man?
Yeah, I mean, just a big thank you from me once again. I really appreciate, all the interactions that we had with all the different people and the engagement from everyone. And like, it just seemed like, to me, it was I don't think there's ever been anything like it, like the Kusama, the prediction market with the style and everything. So it's to me, it's a little bit of a refreshing take on the interfaces that prediction markets could take in the future, right? It doesn't just have to be like a grid where it has one number and the other number. They can be like a little bit more fun in terms of what the interface looks like and how to actually interact with it. So yeah, that's kind of final thoughts and comments from me. Also wanted to plug the Zeitgeist Seer program. It's kind of like the ambassador program to Zeitgeist. I'm going to drop a link into the chat for that. If you haven't signed up to it, you should. We're really getting some cool people that are involved in it together, and this is really like the place that you want to be if you want to meet other people that are working in the team, if you want to meet other community members who may share ideas with you. It's really just about meeting other people and hopefully, reaching some goals that you want to reach within the ecosystem. And I think it's a great way to, if you're planning to be part of these protocols, like there's these protocols that are being built on Kusama and Polkadot are both really like, I think that they can really like change the way that we interact in the world. It's a great place to start out the journey on that. So final thoughts from myself.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. So just a big shout out to the SEER program team. We've had our first SEERs announced already. And Bob, our man behind that, is building such a great representation of our community ambassadors. So please check out the SEER program there. It's in the chat. And again, just thanks so much to everybody. This has been our largest Crowdcast of live attendees. This is bigger than the first one for the Kusama Derby. So it's been so great that everybody's tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. Keep supporting us on Twitter. Do go and follow us if you don't already. RT our material. We are on LinkedIn and Subsocial as well. So look out for links on our Twitter there. And from myself, James, and the rest of the Zeitgeist team, guys, it's goodbye until next time.